Use scissors to cut off the packing cable ties and remove the outer packing carton. Remove the accessories packing box. Set aside for later use. Cut off the packing cable ties and remove the rear wheel rim assembly. Remove the left and right positioning cable ties on the upper clamp. Attach the M14 socket head to the electric wrench and remove the fixing bolts at the bottom of the packaging iron frame. Handle with care to remove the upper half of the disassembled packaging iron frame. Remove the packaging protective film and EPE protective film. Cut off the packing cable ties and remove the left and right side guards of the fuel tank. Set them aside for later use. Remove the front fender. Set it aside for later use. Cut off the packing cable ties on the headlight bracket. Remove the front headlight. Set it aside for later use. Unfasten the securing strap on the left side that holds the motorcycle in place. The right side securing strap can be easily removed in the same way as the left side. Use an M17 wrench to hold the front wheel axle in place and turn the front wheel axle nut counterclockwise with an M19 socket. Remove the front wheel axle nut and flat washer. Lift the front forks so that they do not press against the front wheel axle, then remove the axle. Lift the motorcycle off the packaging iron frame with the help of an assistant, then place it on the repair stand and secure it properly. The cable ties on the left side rear swing arm first, then remove the EPE foam to expose the rear suspension components. Cut off the cable ties on the side stand and remove the bubble bag first, then cut off the securing cable ties between the foot peg teeth and the gear shift lever to free up the components. Cut off the securing cable ties for the handlebar at the front of the motorcycle and the ones at the bottom of the right front shock absorber, then remove the handlebar. Organize the wiring harness and place the handlebar on the motorcycle.
Remove the securing cable ties on the front brake caliper.
Open the accessory box and take out the internal accessories. Take 2 lower press blocks and 2 hexagon socket head cap bolts, black zinc plated. Then insert the bolts into the mounting holes of the lower press blocks. Use an M8 hexagon socket wrench to install the lower press blocks into the M10 mounting holes at the rear of the upper triple clamp. Finally, tighten the bolts. Take 2 upper press blocks and the fixing bolts, 4 hexagon flange bolts, M825. Remove the protective film from the handlebar and place the handlebar into the groove of the lower press block. Then, hand tighten the bolts of the upper press block. Do not demonstrate the protective film removal process here to prevent the handlebar from being scratched. Adjust the handlebar to the desired height and then tighten the bolts with an M10 socket wrench. Use an M8 socket wrench to remove the 2 bolts installed at the front of the upper triple clamp, then take off the packaging bag of the headlight bracket. Route the wiring harness to the left side of the triple clamp mounting holes to prevent damage to the harness during installation. Then use an M8 socket wrench to mount the headlight bracket to the upper triple clamp with the 2 removed hexagon flange bolts. Remove the 4 front fender mounting bolts on the lower triple clamp, 2 at the front and 2 at the bottom. Remove the T-shaped spacers from the bolts, then place a flat washer on each of the front fender mounting bolts. After passing the bolts through the mounting holes at the bottom of the front fender, install the T-shaped spacers onto the bolts with the T-shaped side facing downward during installation. Align the bolts with the corresponding mounting holes and thread them in by hand. Thread them in partway. Do not fully tighten them. Insert the T-shaped spacers between the front fender and the lower triple clamp from the side, pass the mounting bolts through the T-shaped spacers and then thread the bolts in by hand. Insert the spacer between the front fender and the lower triple clamp from above. Then lift the front part of the front fender slightly to clamp the T-shaped spacer to prevent it from falling off. Pass the mounting bolt through the corresponding hole and tighten it with an M8 socket wrench. Tighten the fastener with an 8mm socket. Install the headlights. Unscrew the Phillips self-tapping screws at the rear of the headlight with a Phillips screwdriver. Remove the oil pipe clip on the headlight cover. Snap the front brake oil pipe into the oil pipe clip. Refit the removed Phillips self-tapping screws in their original positions. Connect the headlight to the main wiring harness connector. The remaining unconnected connector on the main wiring harness is the headlight connector. Pull out the waterproof sleeve on the main wiring harness to wrap the connector up. Remove the fastening bolts and flat washers on both left and right sides of the headlight bracket with an 8mm socket. Insert the 2 locating pins at the bottom of the headlight into the 2 locating holes of the front fender. Insert the removed headlight, fastening bolts and flat washers into the circular mounting holes on the top of the headlight with an 8mm socket, then tighten. Remove the front brake caliper below the left front shock absorber with a 10mm socket. After removing the front brake caliper, route the front brake line to the inside of the shock absorber. Thread the brake caliper fastening bolts into the brake mounting holes by hand first, then tighten the brake caliper securely with a 10mm socket. Remove the right side fastening bolt of the front brake line clip on the left front shock absorber with an M3 hex key. Loosen the left side bolt. Do not remove it for ease of reinstallation. Place the front brake line slash into the slot. Make sure to fit the rubber part under the tubing sleeve into the front brake line clip, then lower the line clip to tighten the brake line. Lock the bolt to secure the front brake line. Install the front wheel. Remove the retaining plate inside the brake caliper. Remove the front wheel axle nut, flat washer, and the 2 front wheel spacers. Install the long front wheel spacer on the side with the brake disc, and the short one on the other side. Align the brake disc with the pad gap, then push the front wheel to slide the disc into place. If the gap narrows from accidentally squeezing the front brake, use a flathead screwdriver to pry the pads apart. Lift the front wheel to align its mounting gap with the shock absorber holes. Then feed the front wheel axle through the holes from the vehicle's right side. Secure the front wheel axle with an M17 box end wrench. Then tighten its nut with a 19mm socket. Install the lower connection of the rear shock absorber. Remove the nut on the bolt. Lift the rear wheel. Align the lower mounting hole of the rear shock absorber with the shock absorber mounting hole of the swing arm. Then insert the mounting bolt through the mounting holes from the right side of the vehicle. Screw on the lock nut. Pull the rear brake line out from the brake line clip. Hold the nut with an M14 open-end wrench. Tighten the fastening bolt with a 13mm socket. Clip the rear brake line back into its original position. Remove the seat cushion bolt and flat washer underneath the rear fender with an M10 socket. Push and pull backward to remove the seat cushion. Install the front, left, and right side panels. Insert the rear mounting holes of the left side panel into the limit tabs of the middle side panel. Press and hold the side panel. Then fasten the left side panel with M610 hex socket button head bolts using an M5 hex key. Then use an M4 hex key to fasten the M610 hex socket pan head bolt in the top mounting hole. Insert the rear limit tab of the right side panel into the slot of the rear side panel. The installation method here is the same as that for the left side panel. Insert the bolts and then tighten them. Remove the mounting bolts on the bracket underneath the right side panel with an M8 socket and an M10 open-end wrench. Rotate directly to position the bracket upward. Align the side panel mounting holes with the bracket mounting holes. Insert the bolts and tighten the nuts. The The installation method for the left side is the same as that for the right side. Remove the protective cap on the battery. Remove the bolts and nuts on the battery. Carefully place the square nut into the power connection point. Pass the bolt through the mounting hole on the power cable and use a Phillips screwdriver to secure the power cable to the battery power connection point. After installation, slide the rubber sleeve over it. The black wire is the negative pole and the red wire is the positive pole. Connect the power cable to the mounting points of the corresponding color. After installation, press the power cable downward. Align the slot with the fuel tank mounting bolt. Press the seat cushion and push it forward to engage the seat cushion in place. Then use an M10 socket to fasten the seat cushion with the removed mounting bolts and flat washers. Install the chest protector and breathing tube. Remove the chest protector cover. First, insert it underneath the handlebar. Then, place the sponge on the press block. Align it with the position of the press block and press down. Then, wrap the chest protector cover over it. Insert the breathing tube into the fuel tank cap. Tighten the cable ties on the right side of the frame. Place the chest protector tube into the cable ties and tighten them. The breathing tube needs to remain ventilated. Do not over-tighten the cable ties. Remove the bubble wrap from the handlebar grip. Installation completed. Turn on the ignition switch and test whether the power is on.